so here we are at the setup of the Netgear ReadyNAS, the 524X. Now, when you first set up this device, it encourages you to utilize the ReadyCLOUD software. So you head over to ReadyCLOUD, as you can see one I did earlier on, to find your NAS on your network. Once you've done that, you'll double click on Discover, and Discover will take you through to the Setup Wizard. Now here at the Setup Wizard, we've already had the device up and running, and it arrived already pre-populated, so we click Next. We set up our date and time, and we're on Greenwich Mean Time here, so we're going to set that up at GMT. It's not hugely relevant, but we'll give it a go anyway. And we'll let the device keep its name, as well as adding an alert contact, which will set up our own email here. So we're going to come up with a fake one, shall we? We'll create a brand new user for ourselves, so we'll call ourselves Robbie. And the password, actually, just to be on the safe side, because you never know when these things forget what they're doing, we're going to call ourselves admin. Set up next, and once again we'll do an admin password as well, and we'll get started. We'll save our password for later and make our way into the Netgear. And this should start letting us into our system. I've just heard the disk spin up inside our ReadyNAS, and here we have the user interface of the Netgear ReadyNAS. Once again, we're using the 524X. It's the 10 GBE enabled version of this device. If we make our way into it, we can see here we've got the device itself. The antivirus is disabled, and of course we can add our own. We can also check for firmware updates, and the device will double check for any latest firmware updates that are connected. We've got this connected via a general server. Now I've only popped the one drive inside this, a 3TB WD red, but straight away we can already see our health of that drive. Now we can install other applications once we're connected to the internet, and of course we can set up our RAID configurations, and it can see that drive that we bunged inside. We've got everything from all our traditional RAID levels as creating new ones, all the way through from RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 6, RAID 10, all of that sort of stuff. We have a performance manager, much like other NAS devices. It's quite hot in here. Right now it's the 19th of April, and I don't know if you're in the UK on the 19th of April, but it is a really sunny day right now, so that's worth bearing in mind. And the fan I've set to quiet mode, but it will semi-autonomously speed up and speed down as needed. We've got more information on our network access. We're utilising the 10 gigabit Ethernet connection and running this via a Netgear switch, and we will be doing speed tests utilising this NAS and the Buffalo PCIe card, the LGC PCIe MG, a 10 GB card, and putting several 10 GB switches through their paces later in the month. In the settings, of course, this is where we can set up all of our different services, background stuff, and we can also install applications and make changes to other existing ones. So once again, we'll see if we're allowed to do our checks or updates, because remember, it still needs me to verify that login information I created. Now with Powerwall, we can do everything from the standby all the way through to when the device will shut itself down, and of course the popular Wake On LAN. And if you've got an existing uninterruptible power supplier, then do bear that in mind that you can add it to this device. Again, the ReadyNAS is designed to be prosumer, so it's going to lack some of the kind of splashy colour, crayon kind of design that you would imagine for some of the pretty GUI NASs out there, but it's also got a lot more versatility than many NASs in the more enterprise end. So with shares, of course, we can set up individual folders and the directories there, and we can say what's shareable to all individual users and create different user accounts. And of course, snapshot and background snapshots of files and folders to keep revisions is enabled with this device. And this has got an Intel Xeon D, I think it's a Pentium D CPU, even the 1508, which is a dual core 2.2 GHz CPU. Now with iSCSI, we can create a brand new mappable drive, and again this is using LUN. So again, for those that are looking for network storage that for software reasons has to have the appearance of a localized drive, this is where your use would come in. Now with accounts, we can obviously create brand new user accounts and give them all individual user rights. So if we create a new user here, we can give them a name. Let's call them Toby. We can give, and if you've got existing systems or CSVs, you can import some of this information over. But with them, you can give them their own email account, give them their own individual password to log into the device, and this means that they will have access to the amount of rights and privileges that you wish to assign them. Once again, with groups, you can come up with groups, say like managers, staff, admin, finance, that sort of thing. And all of these give you either admin access or very basic localized access. So if we come up with Toby, we're going to need a password. And once again, we're just going to come up with password. And there we go, we're creating Toby. Now Toby, we can look at their admin rights. We can look at what we're prepared to give them, whether we want to have a cloud or internet-based user or a localized user or both. And of course, authentication is where we're able to set up checks and other stuff to verify different users or basically the whole unit as a whole. Now, default user is where we would be able to create predefined levels of administrative and permission-based access. So again, this is where we would label it by group. So you could come up with one group of users that have access to different kinds of backup or protections of their data. And as well as these groups over here, we can give them different levels of access to different folders once we've created a better folder structure. If we go into network, of course, this is where we can access and monitor all the different varied levels of access to the device. Now, once again, we are accessing via the 10 gigabit Ethernet connection, as you can see, because this device supports both 10 GBE and 1 GBE for those networks. Inside here, we can do different tests. We can bond the port together and create much more faster speeds and integrate them all together. So again, a nice little option there, but again, it's not going to have that user-friendly interface that you're used to with QNAP or Synology. I'm not going to say you need a dedicated IT guy, but I will say you will need a pinch of network knowledge to really make the most of this device. Now, if we go into the App Center, we can look at the available apps. Now again, even though it said we didn't have internet access, here it is. Because when it comes to the apps that are available, I'm not going to say that Netgear ReadyNAS rivals that of Synology or QNAP with their apps, 80 to 100 apps. But they've got plenty of apps. They've got their own surveillance platform. They've got documents, PDF viewers, plus lots, although they're third party, lots of very interesting applications for the likes of virtual machines and your own CRM or CMS system. And again, people look at Netgear ReadyNAS as a very sparse. Look, there's Sugar CRM. They look at Netgear ReadyNAS as a very basic file structure NAS, and it's designed for businesses that aren't looking for multimedia concerns. But that said, there's still lots of good apps here. And again, you can install Plex on this device. I don't think Plex is going to appear on this list, but I know for a fact that as a Plex media server, this device is more than adequate and ranks very well if you do check out our Plex media lists, Plex media server compatibility lists. But there is definitely lots of apps covering everything from multimedia to business to documents. And again, you can also migrate and synchronize with cloud-based platforms too, either using proprietary applications or the device itself, thanks to our cloud listing. Now, thanks to ReadyCLOUD, replication and synchronization with those cloud platforms, it does make backing up far easier and something you can schedule in a much easier way. So there's everything from backups. We've talked about this before with our video on the network switches and of course the Nighthawk X10. This gives you a great degree of some of those consumer applications and consumer based needs in a NAS, but in a far more enterprise setting. And with the warranty that arrives with this device and the hardware and software support, and of course here we have our workflow, similar tab to that of QNAP, we're able to do a great deal more on this machine than most people think they can do with Netgear. Now, we will be utilizing this device to do a bunch of speed tests on a whole host of Netgear switches and Buffalo and indeed QNAP's own 10 GBE switch to see how they all perform. So what we're going to be doing is creating folders. We're going to create a new share that we're going to be able to see over the network. So if we call this one 10G test, and we're going to do exactly the same name for that in the description. And again, there's a lot of stuff like bitrot protection is something I haven't seen readily available on any other NAS as an option. Either it's done in the background or it can't perform these actions and doesn't tell you. So if we give it a quota size, let's give it 100 gig. Oh, we're going to have to make sure we don't have a space, of course. And we're going to create our new network shared drive. So there's our drive, and we can go through the settings there. We can enable snapshots. We can say who's got access. We can say the protocol with which it will be network accessible. We can make it access to anyone. So both the admin, we haven't given Toby access yet. We can give him individual access as we see fit. But the software itself is still pretty comprehensive. And there's one thing I'll give this over the likes of WD. Although they have got very similar kind of practical user interfaces, Netgear does seem to go to trouble to explain things a great deal better than the WD does. The WD kind of throws you in the deep end. So here's our different administration rights to this folder we've created. And then what we can do, hopefully, is we can map this network drive quite easily. So if we go into my PC, where I've got a whole host of other drives available, there's our Netgear ReadyNAS there. So if we go in there, there's our browsed folders. Lots there, recently added. This is kind of the generic folder structure here. And we're going to see if we can map this network drive. So, map there. Have a look. Have a quick look there. To be honest, rather than keep you waiting on the video, do you know what we should do? We should make our way over to the next video, which is going to be the speed test of these devices. So do check those out. But otherwise, the Netgear switch and the Netgear NAS together do complement each other very well, with the switch utilising a great deal of the Genie software available now from Netgear, as well as the software on the NAS itself. They do pair very well. And if you are looking for a NAS that gives you the ability to access all of your files safely and securely in a set up and forget fashion, the Netgear really is one of the front runners for 10 GB NAS for business and indeed home users alike, particularly you photo and video editors out there who want to utilise 10 GB. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time, and I'll see you on the speed test video. Cheerio.